Okay, so once you get logged into the system, you are presented with a prompt that looks something like this. And the question becomes, what now, right? So eventually we're going to have tasks to do. And there's some videos that go over some things we're going to do, like how to view files and how to manipulate files, copy and remove and move and delete and that kind of stuff. But this is just going to go over a basic overview of some things you need to know about operating at the command line environment. One thing you need to know to operate the command line environment is that everything in Linux is case sensitive. Uh, so if you have a file called file1 and another file called file capital one, file one with a capital F, those are two different files. So that's thing number one. Most of the time, I do not use capital letters. Pretty much make everything lowercase just to make my life easier. So everything's case sensitive. Everything we're going to do is going to be a command we type in, and each command could have three parts. We'll have a command. For example, ls is a command we can use that will show us a listing of files in the directory we're in. So I ran ls to show you the files in my directory. We can have a command and we can have options. An option is something that changes the behavior of how a command works. In this case, I'm running ls, which is going to list the files, and -l is going to give me a long listing of files. So that gave me a long listing of files, which includes the permissions, the owner of the group. We'll learn about this stuff in the file permissions video later. And then finally, we have the command, we can have options, and then we can have an argument. An argument tells the command what to work on. So I was just doing ls without specifying a location. And when you do that, it will show you your current directory. If you want to see the files in some other location, you can specify. And in this case, I'm going to specify the slash, which is the root of the file system. So I don't think we've talked about this yet, but the root of the file system is a slash, and it is a tree branching out underneath that slash. So in this case, we have some directories. We have a bin directory, a boot directory, etc directory, lib directories, media directories mount. The only thing we're going to worry about for now is the home directory. Most of the stuff we're going to do in this class, definitely in the first part of the class, you'll be working in the home directory. Once we start administering our server, some of the files we'll work with are going to be in the etc directory, and we'll look at some things in the var log directory. So ls is how you can see files in directories. If you want to change to a different directory, you can use the cd command. So when you use cd, you specify where you want to change to. So in this case, I said cd to /home, and another command to go along with cd is the pwd command to tell you where you currently are. So if you ever get lost and you're not sure where you are, pwd is a command to tell you where you are. So I just changed directory to my to the home directory, but not my home directory. My home directory is home RBE all zeros. So each user is going to have their own home directory in home. If I wanted to change directories to that, I could type in a full path that says home RBE0000. This is a full path because it starts with a slash. I could also have done a relative path. Let me change back to home. So I'm in home again, right? I could also do a relative path that says cd./RBE0000. That changes me to my home directory, right? I could also do that dot is a special character that in this case means current directory. The dot can be used for a lot of different things. In this case, it means current directory. If we wanted to use another special usage of some dots, two dots means parent directory. So right now I'm in home RBE0000. If I do cd with two dots, I'm back up to home. So to summarize, a full path starts with a slash, and you can specify the full depth path to wherever you want to go, right? And that will get me over there. A relative path can start with a dot or two dots, right? So this will take me back up one level to the parent directory, so that'll take me back up to etc, right? If I want to go back down to sysconfig directory, I can use /sysconfig. I can also if you're just changing directories to a directory in the same directory, you can omit the // that's assumed. So that worked as well in that case. So let's see. Yeah, so an absolute path starts with a slash. A relative path starts with anything other than slash. So if I was to do cd/home /RBE0000, that's an absolute path, right? If I was in cd ... to get me back up to home, that's a relative path. If I wanted to cd into exercises, that's a relative path. If I wanted to cd to /Etsy, that's an absolute path. So how do you know? Well, if it starts with a slash, it is an absolute path. If it does not start with a slash, it is a relative path. So we talked about ls a little bit, a couple other things about ls. Let me go back to my home directory. Well, if you do cd with no other arguments, it takes you back to your home directory. If you do cd with a dash, that will take you back to the last place you just were, so this should take me back to exercises. That's kind of cool, a little shortcut. But I want to be in my home directory. If you do ls-a, that will show you hidden files. If you look at just ls, these files that start with a dot aren't shown. Any file that begins with a dot is a hidden file, and you have to use -a to see those hidden files. So we can combine switches as well, right? We can do ls-la or al. Most of the time the order of the switches doesn't matter, so ls-al is the same as la. That shows us a long listing including hidden files, right? Another thing we can do is, wait, what do I want to say? Yeah, so anyway, ls shows you the files. Most of the time after you work with Linux for a while, you will develop a set of switches you like the most. Here's my set of switches I like the most. LART. LA does a long listing. A shows you, sorry, L does a long listing. A shows you all files. T tells it to sort by time. And R tells it to reverse sort. So this is a useful list of commands if you want to see the most recently modified files. Lots of times if you're working on a Linux system and you're modifying files and you need to look at them, you want to see the one you just modified. So if I was to, let's see, what could I edit? If I was to edit file 1, right now file 1 has a modification time of May 25th and it's way up there. But if I edit file 1, put something in file 1, now if I do this ls-lart, we see that my most recent file down the bottom was file 1. So that's the easy way for you to find things that you are looking for that you have most recently modified. One more thing I'll point out at this point. If you ever want to know more about a command or what switches you can use to do certain things, you can use the man pages. The man pages are the manual for the command. So if I wanted to look at the man pages for ls to see what different switches could do, I'd type man ls, hit enter. You can use the arrow keys to move up one page at a time. You use one line at a time. You can use a space bar to move one page at a time. So a page down, I found that, oh, -L says use a long listing format. You can use the B key to go backwards. Oh, -A shows all files. And when you get ready to be done looking at the man page, you hit Q for quit. So that's a quick guide to some things you should know about operating at the command line. It does take some getting used to, especially if you're used to dragging and dropping and using GUI editors for everything. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Linux servers in the real world do not run GUIs, so this is something we need to get used to, the idea of operating the command line.